Have you ever felt how a single criticism can ruin your entire day? Have you let a strange look, a poorly spoken word, or a small setback steal your peace? Then let me tell you something. You're giving away your power. Every time you react impulsively, every time you let something external dictate how you feel, you're handing over the steering wheel of your life. But that can change, starting today. Because today, I'll teach you what no one else has. How to act as if nothing affects you. This isn't about being cold. It's not about being numb. It's about self-mastery. It's about walking through the world with a clear mind, steady eyes, and a peaceful soul, even when chaos surrounds you. If you've ever felt that you were meant for more, this video is your confirmation. Stay with me, and you'll discover how to become untouchable. Because when no one has power over you, you have power over everything. Welcome to the Code, Napoleon Hill, the place where the mind is trained, the soul is awakened, and success is no longer a mystery, but a system. Here, we don't talk about luck. We talk about mental laws, conscious decisions, and inner mastery. Because as Napoleon Hill once said, he who does not conquer his own mind will never conquer anything. And this lesson? It's one of the most forgotten, but also one of the most powerful. Today, I'm not here to give you cheap motivation. I'm here to reveal a principle that separates the weak from the unstoppable, the ability to remain unaffected. Because the one who doesn't react rules. And the one who rules their inner world is the only one capable of conquering the outer world. So get ready. What's coming won't just change the way you think. It will transform the way you live. You were taught to react, to defend yourself, explain yourself, justify yourself, as if your worth depended on what others think of you. But here's what no one told you. Every emotional reaction is a transfer of power. Someone insults you. You explode in anger. Someone ignores you. You feel wounded. Someone disagrees. You jump into a fight. And every time, you lose. Because while you're reacting on the outside, you're handing over control of your mind on the inside. And the worst part? It doesn't just make you vulnerable. It makes you predictable, manipulable. Most people live as emotional puppets. A single word can shake them. A random opinion can define them. They walk through life in reaction mode, triggered by anything and everything. But let me ask you, do you really want to keep living as a slave to the outside world? Are you really going to let a bad look, a bad day, or a bad comment dictate how you feel? Listen closely. You are not your emotions. You are the one who chooses what to do with them. And if you don't choose, someone else will. The world won't slow down for you. The criticism won't stop. The chaos won't wait for you to feel ready. But there's something you can control: how you respond to it all. Think about this. Two people go through the exact same situation. One loses control. The other stays calm. Who do you think wins? Staying calm doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're powerful. Because the one who remains calm in the storm is the one who can think clearly, decide wisely, and lead from strength. Look around you. How many people do you know who lose their mind over the smallest things? One bad comment, one mistake at work, one pointless argument. That's the sign of an untrained mind. And a mind that isn't trained is like a wild horse. It runs with fear, it reacts without purpose, and it drags you into places you never meant to go. But you know what a skilled rider does? They don't suppress the horse, they direct it. And that's exactly what you must do with your emotions. When someone provokes you, pause, breathe, Don't respond right away. Just 5 seconds. That's all it takes. And in that tiny window of silence, you take back all the power you were about to lose. That habit, that micro decision, is the beginning of real strength. Because people won't respect you for how loud you yell. They'll respect you for what doesn't shake you. And when they scream, you stay silent. And that silence, it speaks louder than 1,000 words. We live in a world where everyone's trying to be the loudest, where social media rewards those who shout the most, even when they have the least to say. But there's a kind of power few ever master. The power of silence. In a world full of noise, the one who stays silent becomes a mystery. And in that mystery, there's a force nobody can ignore. Think of that one person who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word to command respect. Not out of fear, but because of presence. Presence is energy. And energy doesn't need to be explained. It's felt. Now remember this. The one who talks less listens more. And the one who listens more knows more. Silence gives you control. Control over the conversation. Control over the room. But above all, control over yourself. Let me tell you something real. In any negotiation, the one who stays silent first wins. Why? Because the other person starts filling the space. They get nervous. They reveal themselves. They expose their hand. But you observe. You calculate. You dominate. Most people talk out of anxiety. But from now on, you'll speak only with intention. Don't explain what doesn't need explanation. Don't defend what hasn't been attacked. Don't justify your greatness to those who can't recognize it. Because when you choose silence, they're left to hear the echo of their own insecurity. And that's when the game shifts. That's when you take control. Want to know how strong someone really is? Watch how they react when they're criticized. Most collapse. Some attack back. But the truly powerful, they don't even blink. Listen closely. If you feel the need to defend yourself, you've already lost. Because when you defend yourself against an unprovoked attack, you're silently saying, "Your opinion has power over me." And that's the trap. Criticism only hurts when you believe it. But here's the truth. Not every voice deserves your attention. Does someone who's never walked your path really get to judge your journey? Do they know the sacrifices you've made? Then their criticism is just noise. And you weren't born to listen to noise. You were born to make history. Now, if a criticism comes from someone who's achieved what you aspire to, listen, learn, filter, but never react from ego. Because ego wants to win the argument. You're here to win your destiny. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. The opinions of others should never shape your destiny. So the next time someone attacks you, look them in the eye, say nothing, and think to yourself, your words only have power if I choose to give it to them. And that choice, my friend, belongs to you alone. Suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from your resistance to what happens. You wanted that person to stay, but they left. You wanted that plan to go perfectly, but it failed. You wanted to be in control, but life had other plans, and that's why you suffer. Because you cling to an idea, an expectation, a should have been. But let me leave you with a mental image you'll never forget. Life is a river, and you must decide, will you flow with it, or drown fighting against the current? The river doesn't stop. It doesn't ask for permission, doesn't apologize. It just keeps moving. And the wise don't try to move the rocks in the river. They simply flow around them. You can't control everything. And that's not weakness. That's freedom. The strongest people I know aren't the ones who dominate others. They're the ones who stopped fighting the inevitable. Want a simple practice? Whenever something doesn't go your way, ask yourself quietly, does this depend on me or not? If it depends on you, act. If it doesn't, let it go. Because while you're holding on to what you can't control, life moves on. Opportunities pass, and your growth waits. Here's the truth. You can't move forward with hands full of the past. Empty your hands, empty your mind, and flow like the river, because that is the secret to true peace. Do you know why so many people feel empty, even when it looks like they have it all? Because they live waiting for approval, applause, likes, validation. But here's what no one tells you. The more you need to be approved, the more you depend on people who don't even understand you. It's an invisible prison. And the worst part? Most people are inside, with the door wide open. You seek validation from your parents, your partner, your friends, your followers, even from people who don't respect themselves. And that's why you betray yourself. You hide what you think. You bury what you feel. You become an edited version of yourself, just to fit in. But here's a truth few are brave enough to say. You don't need to be liked by everyone. In fact, the more authentic you are, the fewer people will understand you. And that's okay. You didn't come here to be understood. You came to be free. So repeat this in your mind every time you doubt yourself out of fear of rejection. I'm not here to be approved. I'm here to be real. True respect doesn't come when you try to please. It comes when you dare to exist without asking for permission. And when that moment comes, you'll see the right people show up. Not because of who you pretend to be, but because of who you already are. Most people believe emotions are uncontrollable, that if something bothers you, you have to react. But that's a lie that weakens you. Emotions don't rule you. You rule them. But only if you train yourself. It's not about not feeling. It's about not being enslaved by what you feel. Let me show you how it works. They criticize you. You explode. They ignore you. You collapse. You feel frustrated. You give up. That cycle only ends with one decision. I will feel it, but I will not act from it. And that decision? It gets stronger with practice. Here are simple daily exercises to train emotional discipline. When you feel anger, breathe 3 times before you speak. When anxiety hits, pause and ask, what can I control right now? When you want to justify yourself, stay silent and smile. Do it once, then again, and again, until it becomes who you are. This isn't repression. This is inner mastery. The problem isn't feeling rage, fear, or sadness. The problem is becoming them. Napoleon Hill taught it clearly. Self-mastery is the foundation of all true power. And that power begins in the tiniest moments, when you choose not to shout, not to react, not to give in. Because that second, that breath, is where the unstoppable are forged. Every external change begins with an inner vision. You can't live like a strong person if you keep imagining yourself as weak. The mind doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. So if you want to act like someone unshakable, first, you must see yourself that way. Close your eyes, just for a moment. Visualize this. You're in an argument. The other person loses control. They scream. They break down. And you remain still. Calm, completely in command of yourself. You don't need to overpower anyone. Your energy speaks for itself. Your eyes say, I already won, because nothing affects me. Now imagine someone criticizes you publicly, but instead of feeling hurt, you smile. Not because it doesn't matter, but because you've decided not to hand your peace to anyone. That is you. Not in the future. Not when everything is perfect. Now, repetition is the key. Visualize yourself every day, walking with presence, responding with calm, deciding without fear. Do it for 5 minutes a day, and watch how that mental image becomes your new reflection. Because the secret isn't becoming someone new. It's awakening who you already are. And that version of you already exists. It's just waiting for you to believe in it. Here's something you need to understand. If you truly want to be powerful, the one who talks the most often makes the least noise that matters. But the one who moves in silence, who doesn't announce, explain, or beg for attention, that's the one who leaves the deepest mark. Because while the world is busy talking about what they'll do, you're already doing it. Napoleon Hill said it best. Success doesn't come from what you say, but from what you quietly build. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. You don't need to announce your plans. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to share your vision with those who can't see it. Just do the work. Do the inner shift. Make history without asking for permission. Noise creates resistance. Silence creates surprise. And nothing disarms the world more than someone who shows up unannounced and conquers without showing off. Let me be clear. Don't seek validation. Seek results. Don't explain your process. Live your process. And when someone asks how you achieved so much, just smile. Because you did it in silence. And silence, when born from mastery, screams louder than any word ever could. There's no such thing as a strong mind without daily discipline. You don't become unshakable in big moments. You become unshakable in what you repeat when no one's watching. That's what most people aren't willing to do. They want results without routine, strength without struggle, peace without training. But listen, mental power doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from repetition. So if you truly want to master your mind, do this every single day. Visualize your highest self for 5 minutes. Not the version you wish to be, the version you already are. Calm, focused, unshaken. Train your pause. Every time something bothers you, count to 5 before you speak. That pause is your shield. Write down your emotional state. Don't repress. Observe. What's written can be understood, and what's understood can be mastered. Do one uncomfortable thing every day. Something small, but uncomfortable. Because every time you overcome discomfort, your mind grows stronger. This is not motivation. This is construction. This is the mental gym Napoleon Hill spoke about. The mind trains like a muscle. And if you don't train it, the world will train it for you. And trust me, the world won't be as kind. So now you decide, will you train your mind every day? Or keep being held hostage by your emotions? Because the one who repeats with intention conquers without noise. Do you know what real freedom is? It's not having more money. It's not having more time. It's not having more recognition. Real freedom is walking through the world, knowing that nothing and no one can steal your peace. It's living without fear of criticism, without anxiety for approval, without attachment to results. It's waking up each day knowing that, no matter what happens, you choose how you feel, how you react, how you move forward. That's not indifference. That is inner mastery. That is freedom. Look at the leaders who changed history. They were human. They had doubts. They had wounds. They had flaws. But there was one thing that set them apart. Nothing took them out of their center. And that's why the world followed them. Not because they shouted, but because they radiated something real. Self-mastery. That mastery doesn't come from outside. You can't buy it. No one can give it to you. It's not inherited. It's built. And you are building it right now. With every word you're hearing, with every thought you're releasing, with every emotion you're choosing not to obey. Because when nothing affects you, the world starts adjusting to you. People respect you more. Opportunities come faster. Decisions become clearer. Not because life got easier, but because you became unshakable. And when you reach that point, you discover something far beyond success, beyond status, beyond achievements. You discover that true power is living at peace with yourself. And in a world full of noise, chaos, and drama, the one who achieves that has already won. If you've made it this far, you are not the same person who started this video. Now you hold in your hands a tool most will never discover: the power of becoming unbreakable. You now understand that true mastery is not about controlling others, but about never letting anything control you. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to remember who you are when you're calm. From now on, every criticism will become training. Every provocation, a test. Every emotion, a chance to grow. Not an excuse to quit. Because now you know, if nothing affects you, nothing can stop you. And if no one has power over you, everything is under your power. Now tell me honestly, will you just hold on to this knowledge, or will you use it? Because knowing this won't change your life. Applying it will. If this spoke to your soul, if this was exactly what you needed to hear, then don't leave without subscribing. Not to grow a number, but to grow together. Week by week, lesson by lesson, on this path of becoming stronger inside, so you can rise higher outside. Share this video with someone who needs it. Save it. And come back to it whenever the world tries to knock you off center. Here at The Code, Napoleon Hill, we didn't come to be approved. We came to remember who we are, and to live from that place, with strength, with faith, and with purpose. I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, remember this: you are not what happens to you. You are what you decide to be. When everything happens,